In the past couple of weeks, I've watched a couple of movies that really made me think. Now, I love it when a film gets my brain on a weird journey. Now, these two movies have a similar theme, are both excellently produced, and some excellent acting. However, these films led my mind on a very dark journey. The two films I have in mind have the central theme of power. If history has taught us nothing else, power corrupts. The first film about power is Heretic, which stars Hugh Grant as the deliciously evil Mr. Reed. Mr. Reed. Ponder that for a moment, why don't you? Today we're looking to compare and contrast two films tackling the concepts of belief and power and how humans use them. Hi, I'm Rob, and this is A Constantly Racing Mind. If you're new here, we cover the film genres of sci-fi, horror, action-adventure, prop culture, and all things geek. So if you want more videos like this, remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be aware of my new content. It's winter in Colorado, and we meet two women on a mission to proselytize potential newcomers to their faith. The missionaries are from the Church of Latter-day Saints, otherwise known as Mormons. Now, don't worry, the film is about faith, not necessarily the Mormon faith, but we'll get back to that in a moment or two. Now, I want to compare Heretic with another film that, while very different in scale and grandeur, is similar in theme. I realize ultimately most stories that we humans are drawn to are really about power. Now, in the original Gladiator film, Ridley Scott twists history, as he is wont to do, to create a captivating story about honor and revenge and a quest for power. Not power for one man, but power of an idea. While watching Gladiator 2, I constantly had to whisper to myself, ignore the inaccurate history and focus on the story. In both of these stories, we have a battle of opposing ideas. In The Heretic, the two women are there to help Mr. Reed investigate their faith, the Mormon Church. On the other hand, Reed wants to expose the women to his belief that there is no reason to believe in an ultimate deity. Mr. Reed believes that there is one true religion. Reed goes through an elaborate ruse to deceive the two women, whom he perceives as naive and disillusioned by their religion. In Gladiator 2, the sequel to the 2000s Gladiator, Lucius Verus Antonius, the grandson of Marcus Aurelius, was sent into hiding by his mother in Africa for his safety after Maximus, his father, killed Commodus in the arena. The young boy grew up living as a farmer and a militia commander in the Kingdom of Numidia in North Africa. It's today's Libya and Tunisia. Lucius goes by the name of Hanno and is married to a Numidian woman who is both a homemaker and a warrior. She is skilled with a bow. Now, the protagonists in The Heretic and Gladiator 2, they want to live in peace. But as you can guess, the exhortation of one's will comes into the story almost immediately. As the discussions with the Mormon missionaries proceed, they slowly realize that there is no Mrs. Reed, nor a blueberry pie. Grant's Mr. Reed promised the two women two things. As you see, in reality, women missionaries are only allowed into a house if the woman of the house is present. The blueberry pie was really a pie-scented candle. Now, for the ladies, the die is cast. Accacius, the Roman general whose armada of Roman galleons is approaching Numidia with their siege towers at the prow and catapults at the ready, is beginning to prepare for war. On land, they sound the horns, the alarms, and call the troops to prepare for battle. This includes Lucius and his wife, Erishat. Now, don't ask me about the historical accuracy of this first battle. However, like Scott's epic but inaccurate film set during the Crusades, Kingdom of Heaven, the battle was, in fact, incredible. The women are also being intellectually and spiritually attacked. Reed plays psychological games with the women. He has his room lights on a timer. He leaves them alone in the living room for periods of time while preparing his lair and setting his traps. The thing about Reed is that he tells them that his house has metal in the walls. But like many of us who don't really think like he does, pay that mention no mind until they try to get a call out to the church. Human beings have a tendency to only believe or see what they want to see. A blizzard is rolling in, and all they have for transportation are bikes. They know it's time to leave as the encounter starts going off the rails. Reed is slowly sucking them into the lesson he wants the women to learn. He pulls from his cabinet a very impressive leather-bound large Book of Mormon. The women realize this man may know much more than what they are prepared to deal with. Lucius's wife is killed in the battle, and he falls off the walls into the ocean, where he has a near-death vision of the ferryman taking his wife away to where the dead reside. He rises to the surface and says his last goodbyes to his dead wife, breaking the arrow that killed her, and he is carted off with the rest of his people as slaves back to Rome. Now, his mentor, an much older black man named Jugurtha, tells Lucius that he feels that he will not be able to survive as a slave. But Lucius reassures him as he fixes the man's broken arm. Lucius is not going back to the Rome he knew as a child or to claim any glory. But he has one thing on his mind: revenge. After disappearing down a long, dim hallway with a statue about halfway into the darkness, the women make their way until they come to a door. When they enter, Reed is there. The room is a small chapel of sorts with an altar in the front between two wooden doors of mahogany or oak. Reed starts talking about the concept of belief in religion, challenging their faith in what they believe and why they believe what they do. Do they still believe that there is a Mrs. Reed or not? What evidence do they have? Reed chooses to go through elaborate music examples, referencing the Hollies' 1974 song, The Air That You Breathe. He also brings up Radiohead's Creep and discusses the similarities in chord progressions and melody. The Hollies did sue Creep at one point. While still on the topic of iterations, one idea builds onto the other. He pulls out the Monopoly board game, which came out in 1932. The inventor actually learned the game from a friend who had Lizzie Maggie's board game, The Landlord's Game, from 1903. Now, almost immediately upon arriving in Italy, the slaves are sent to the gladiatorial arena to fight for their lives. The slaves are pitted against some hideous baboons that almost look like part wolf or something. Jugurtha is killed almost immediately while Lucius bit chunks off the evil baboon's forearm. He is noticed by his owner, Macrinus, played by Denzel Washington, a man who has higher goals in mind for himself. It is relatively quick for Macrinus to notice something off about Lucius, or Hanno as he's known. Reed's analogy would only be complete if he tied it back to religion. He starts with Judaism and the Hebrew Bible, and then he moves on to how Christians built upon the Jewish Bible and developed the theology for the Christian scriptures, or the New Testament as we know it now. Moving on from there, he talks about Muhammad and the creation of the Quran in 600 CE, once again asking which religion is the correct one. He moves on to Mormonism and relates back to Joseph Smith and how he was looking for the correct church and the creation of the Book of Mormon. Each book builds on the writing of each preceding scripture. While Lucius can hold his own in the arena, he can also quote Virgil, the Roman poet. Macrinus wants to bargain with Lucius. Lucius can be freed if he gives him what he wants, and what Macrinus wants is power. Lucius wants the man who had his wife killed and who attacked his city, General Accacius. Accacius, who, by the way, is now married to his mother Lucilla. She was Marcus Aurelius' daughter and Commodus' sister. She was once married to the first Lucius Verus, Marcus Aurelius' co-emperor, but that guy died young. The subplots between Accacius and Lucilla and the Roman Senate, and even the caricature clown-like over-the-top brothers, sons of Emperor Septus Severus, are inconsequential to the real protagonists and the antagonists, Lucius and Macrinus. The battle of ideologies comes to a head after Macrinus schemes his way to power, explaining to Lucius that the ultimate religion is, in fact, power, and that's what he wants. The battle of ideas drives the film. Yes, there is a lot of sword and sandal action. People die right and left. As the third act unfolds, both films reveal that power and control are the ultimate religion, the ideal to strive for in life. Throughout Heretic, the moment the two LDS missionaries knocked on Mr. Reed's door, they were unknowingly in his control. Reed predicted every action, every question, and every response the women gave. He had power over their lives. As Reed challenges the woman's beliefs and their conviction in the LDS faith, he notes that the power he holds over them is no different than the power and control that the LDS Church,
exactly right,
or any church for that matter, has over their parishioners as well. He notes, why do the missionaries allow him to control them? Why do they enable their church to dictate how they live their lives, even down to their magic underwear? Now, Gladiator 2 ends on pretty much the same note. Macrinus' desire for power to control that power over the empire and its people is no different from Reed's desire to control those who have a genuine faith in religion and tenets of that faith. However, when Macrinus realizes that his attempt to gain the power of the emperor failed, he makes a run for it. While he is defiant to the end, he falls to Lucius in a river. After Reed and the women descend into the lowest levels of hell, that's Reed's basement and sub-basement, an allegory of Dante's levels of hell, they both confess their faith and give their lives for the hope that will not be realized. Gladiator and Gladiator 2 base their hopes on a belief that will never come to pass, a Rome that will never come to be. Both films are entertaining for different reasons. Obviously, Gladiator offers mindless action and epic production values. In the description, I'm going to recommend a few great resources to discover what Ridley Scott got right and wrong about history in Gladiator 2. Now, Denzel Washington's Macrinus is both intelligent and insidiously evil. The movie is entertaining, but doesn't quite live up to its predecessor. The film lasts 2 hours and 40 minutes, but it doesn't really feel like that. It seems like it goes by pretty quick. The better film is Heretic at 1 hour and 51 minutes. Hugh Grant plays Reed with such vigor and fun. He is increasingly morally depraved, yet despite his intellect, or because of it, he takes a deeper dive into that darker journey into disaster. Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East, as Sister Barnes and Paxton, are not weak victims intellectually, physically, and spiritually, for that matter. Both actors pull off the Mormon missionary vibe that rings true. Whether you have a belief, or even if you lack a belief in an ultimate creator, I think you will find the ending much more satisfying. Both films are relevant to today's culture and political times. Most people have faith in ideals, but have no evidence to back that faith. Now, if you have to choose between going to see these two films, you will find Heretic mentally stimulating and thrilling. Now, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Now, thank you very much for watching, and take care.